Deal or no deal? Confusion over the LCBO strike. Good evening and thank you for joining us. Earlier today, the LCBO announced that it had signed a tentative agreement with OPSEU to reopen the liquor stores as early as Tuesday morning.
However, after a few hours, both sides suggested the agreement may be in danger of collapsing. At one point this afternoon, it seemed as if the first ever LCBO strike had finally run its course. Local union members were scheduled to meet this evening for a ratification vote on the proposed agreement, which would have been the first step in getting back to work. The holdup in the agreement appears to be with the LCBO's hesitation to sign a return to work protocol. Local OPSEU leaders say that's the usual process to ensure there is no friction between the two sides once they get back to their jobs.
Unfortunately, Doug seems to have other plans and doesn't really want to sign off on what they've practically agreed to in principle. And we're just hoping, he puts pen to paper and lets us get back to work. Otherwise, we will continue to be out here on the picket lines, asking more for public support and to help encourage him to, get the deal done.
I've never gone from being so happy to so sad in such a quick amount of time. I don't know, Doug just needs to sign that deal and get us back to work. It sounds like the employer and the bargaining unit were happy. I don't know, it's just unfortunate.
The will they, won't they has caused a lot of confusion amongst Ontarians.
With more details on the LCBO strike, here's CTV's Natalie Johnson.
It was happy hour this afternoon at the Scarborough LCBO as workers celebrated news of a deal to end the 2-week-old strike.
Let's get this done.
We did it. We did it together.
We got our message out there, and I think it's an important win for all of us.
But downtown at the Sheraton, where OPSEU was set to announce the tentative agreement, a significant snag.
We were prepared to announce this deal. The Premier said there was a deal, but the employer is now refusing to sign that protocol.
An undisclosed delay or dispute with the return to work protocol that the union said jeopardized the contract.
Without that document signed, we do not have a deal. The strike continues.
The employer, meanwhile, fired back, threatening to file an unfair labor practice against OPSEU. Writing in a statement, earlier today, OPSEU agreed to the deal by entering into a minutes of settlement that requires a recommendation of ratification to their members. They have since introduced significant new monetary demands that should have been dealt with at the bargaining table. To introduce a new set of demands after reaching a tentative agreement amounts to bad faith bargaining.
This is not about the money. This is about how to get these workers and their 9,000 colleagues back to work safely and according to agreed upon set of protocols. It is that simple.
A major setback after both workers and the finance minister thought the deal had been good to go.
We had a mandate from the people. Democracy works, and that's what the people want, choice and convenience. But at the same time, the Premier and I have been we're always very clear that we wanted to get a deal, a good deal with the workers.
Workers who, at this point, are still on strike.
Porter Airlines had to delay or cancel multiple flights earlier today due to the global Microsoft outage. That caused headaches for many Thunder Bay travelers who were left waiting for hours at the local airport. All Porter flights that were supposed to arrive in Thunder Bay this morning or depart to Toronto and Ottawa were affected by the outage. Several of those flights were seriously delayed, while some completely canceled. Many travelers who were at the airport bright and early were disappointed to find out their flights wouldn't be leaving until late this afternoon at the earliest.
Well, it was a bit of a surprise when I showed up at the airport today, obviously. Disappointing, but some things are out of our control, so not much we can do about this. This is out of Porter's control too, it sounds like. So just waiting to see if I can get on a later flight and get back to my travel plans.
I came in at 7 o'clock this morning, and then they told me we had to wait until noon to find out when we would go out or not. It's very frustrating, but I understand that things happen, so I'm trying to be patient.
Unfortunately, the second time that happened with Porter Airlines, that my flights got canceled, unfortunately was not on their hands. The first time was about a month ago, and they just left us out with no accommodations, nothing at all. So people at the airport, they've been amazing to us. But the high above, the people at the office, I don't know, they just leaving us out in the streets.
We'll have more on the Microsoft outage a little later on in the news hour.
United Steelworkers District 6 is asking the Ford government to sit down with its leadership to discuss the ongoing shutdown of the Terrace Bay pulp mill. The president of the USW Local 667, Stephen Downey, says they just want answers.
Any information. We have none. Since we've been closed, there isn't been nothing said. No date for reopen, who is reopening, what they're doing with the business. It's just basically sitting there and they're saying economic times.
The mill in Terrace Bay has been closed for roughly 6 months, leaving around 400 workers out of the job. The letter was addressed directly to Doug Ford and calls on him to work with USW to come up with a way to reopen the mill. Downey says the closure created a ripple effect in the forest industry for the entire area.
They all chain link together and they work together. Byproducts from one go to another. So we're shut down right now. Now that means that White River, possibly, they're curtailing their production because the chips can't come. They have nowhere for them to go. Hearst, Hornpain, Nakina, they're all part of a system. And when we shut down and Espanola shuts down, it shuts down forestry in the north.
A local safety advocacy group is calling for early warning lights leading up to every intersection on the Thunder Bay Expressway.
The Lakehead Regional Safety Council believes this would ensure more drivers stop at red lights and prevent tragic events along the expressway. Thousands of drivers and pedestrians from the city, region, and beyond travel through the Thunder Bay Expressway every day. But one local advocacy group says not enough is being done to keep them safe.
It could be catastrophic.
Bill Vanderwater is the secretary of the Lakehead Regional Safety Council, which is calling for warning lights between every intersection on the expressway. They would notify drivers of an upcoming red light and to slow down. The only one currently along the route is located north of the Balsam Street intersection. Vanderwater says the warning lights should be an obvious choice, considering how much pedestrian traffic there is at the expressway intersections.
Walking across 4 lanes of traffic to get to the other side. They're also pushing strollers. Sometimes people are in walkers, people in wheelchairs, people with bicycles. These are all people that need to cross safely.
The Lakehead Region Safety Council's advocacy comes just a month after a serious crash at the John Street intersection involving a transport. While everyone walked away from that crash, there have been a number of other fatal incidents involving trucks just over the past few years. The organization has begun pushing the provincial government for early warning lights with a petition that's garnered over 250 signatures.
Every driver needs the opportunity to start slowing down as they approach an intersection if they're going to be necessary to stop. I'm sure it's going to make a difference, and any difference is going to save lives.
Vanderwater says his organization has already spoken with MPP Lise Vaugeois, who is supporting their call, and they'll continue trying to contact MPP Kevin Holland.
A 35-year-old Thunder Bay man has been arrested after a business was robbed at knife point earlier this year. The incident happened in Oliver Papoonge on West Arthur Street just before midnight on April 22nd, with the culprit taking off with an undisclosed amount of cash. The suspect was arrested by Thunder Bay police yesterday and is facing a robbery charge. He'll remain in custody with a future court date.
Millions of Canadians received one of their federal carbon rebates this month. It's meant to offset the cost of the federal carbon price. Thunder Bay Superior North MP Patty Haidu says this payment will now benefit small businesses as well.
So the new rebate for small businesses will return $2.5 billion in proceeds to about 600,000 small businesses across the country. This is actually, I think, a really exciting thing for small businesses because they're going to get a decent chunk of change that they'll be able to use for whatever purposes that they need for their small business. And it's certainly something that small businesses have been contributing to and are eligible for.
The carbon rebate is distributed every 3 months. The average family of 4 in Ontario received $280 from the July payment. The Trudeau government has received a lot of pushback for the carbon tax program, with many, including the Conservative Party, arguing the rebates don't make up for the carbon pricing affecting Canadians. Haidu recognizes not everyone benefits financially from the rebate.
Well, generally, 8 out of 10 Canadians will get more back than they've actually paid in the price on pollution. In fact, in rural and smaller communities, those residents will see an increase in the supplement that they get to reflect the fact that they're living often further away from some essential services. So in my riding, people that are living in Marathon or in Long Lac.
The next carbon rebate rolls out in October.
The local waterfront was teeming with tourists today, as 2 large cruise ships were in the Thunder Bay Harbor at the same time.
The Octantis and the Polaris are sister ships for Viking Cruise Lines. Justin Hardy has more, and he joins us live from Hillcrest Park.
Thanks, Vasi. You could see both cruise ships from this vantage point throughout the day. The Polaris was scheduled to leave the local port sometime around this hour, while the Octantis is scheduled to leave tonight at around 8 o'clock. It's the first time that the city has had both sister ships moored at the port at the same time. Pool 6 only has enough capacity to dock one of the large ships at a time, and the Octantis got there first. Fortunately, the Viking ships have excursion boats, so the Polaris passengers were ferried to the local waterfront. Double the ships means double the passengers and crew coming ashore to shop and play. Paul Pepe, manager of Tourism Thunder Bay, says both ship stopping has a great impact on the city.
It's something that works very well. You know, we have pretty much every full-size motor coach in the city chartered today between both ships. There are tour guides that are hired, obviously the admissions fees that they'll be paying at the various attractions. So there's a lot of impacts. There's a lot of businesses that do see impact. And then, of course, a lot of the guests, there's a shopping shuttle that's running downtown. So the guests are exploring the waterfront district today, and a number of them are looking for souvenirs, they're looking for t-shirts, they're looking for a place to have coffee.
This stop marks the halfway point in both ships' summer seasons. The Octantis has now made 4 of 8 stops at Pool 6, and the Polaris has made 2 out of 4. There is a total of 9 more stops to be made in Thunder Bay by the 4 cruise ships that do make port in the city. Pepe says once the season wraps up, they're going to take a look at ways they can make the Thunder Bay stops more worthwhile for the passengers.
We'll probably do a bit of an analysis at the end of the year. We certainly learned a lot over the last 3 years, and it's really about anticipating the changing needs and the changing trends of what passengers are looking for as well, and making sure that we're always thinking about what is the next interesting shore excursion that we can offer the cruise lines.
The Viking Polaris will now be continuing on its way down to Duluth. The Octantis will be going the opposite direction to explore along the North Shore and see what the top of Lake Superior has to offer. Now we'll send it back to Vasi and Riley in the studio.
Thanks for that reporting there, Justin. Now, Fiona, it looked pretty beautiful out there at Hillcrest Park. There's a lot of community events happening this weekend. Are those nice conditions sticking around?
Well, I'm going to say yes and no.
A little bit,
But,
okay.
but it's not a negative thing. We've got the potential for a little bit of rain over the next few hours, maybe 12 or so. If we take a look at what happened today, a few pockets to the west and a few pop-up showers occurring here and there throughout the day, and that could be the case again for tonight. But we did, after starting out with a low of 12, warm all the way up to 28 and humidex of 31. So it was certainly still warm in the city of Thunder Bay. And throughout the region, all in all, it's been a very warm day as well. Temperatures in the mid to high 20s for most locations. Now, Marathon and Wawa, definitely outliers. They're currently at 18 Celsius, which is pretty near their high for the day, and that's because of the southwest winds coming off the lake, keeping things cooler. But everywhere else, that southwest flow has kept things warmer. Now, we've had mostly cloudy skies in Sault Ste. Marie. They're currently enjoying a humidex of 30. Very similar up into Greenstone, where it was mostly sunny for much of the day. Towards Red Lake, it was mostly cloudy, but a very mild night. They had an overnight low of 18. They're currently at their high of 27 and a humidex of 36. Similar temperatures up into Pickle Lake. And Sioux Lookout, Kenora, Upsala, Armstrong, and into Fort Frances are all sitting at 25 right now. They have had a little pop-up shower just in the last hour or so, but it's over and they're back under partly cloudy skies at this time in the fort. Here in the city of Thunder Bay, we're looking at a very mild night, a low of 15. Now this evening, we'll see some increasing cloud, and then there's a 40% chance of showers this evening and overnight, and the slight risk of a thunder shower popping up in the overnight hours. Winds will start out from about 20 kilometers per hour, but they're also going to be tapering off down to about 5 by midnight, 1 a.m. in the morning. So there is that risk of rain to start off your weekend plans, but the skies will be clearing in the afternoon tomorrow, which is going to hopefully be in time for most outdoor events, especially a couple big ones at the marina this weekend. And the temperatures are going to be seasonally warm with humidex levels that will pop it up the feeling of a few degrees, which is especially good news for those who like it just a little bit warmer. And if you're out at the marina over the weekend, you might want a little bit of extra heat because of the lake effect. So all in all, this weekend is looking to be probably one of the best ones that we're going to have so far this summer. So I'm looking forward to the forecast this weekend.
So it's just a matter, you get through Friday evening and things are going to clear up, be fairly nice through all those big events. And like you said, at the marina, probably tons of people are going to be down there.
I'm hoping.
For sure. Thanks for that, Fiona. Stick around because after the break, we're going to take a look at that massive tech outage that hit our nation after a faulty software update.
A little bit of chaos, but not this much. So it's pretty astounding.